Hello and welcome to another beautiful edition of Diplomatic Perspective on Global Television. My name is Ramsey Enoch. Of course, today we will be discussing something very vital. I know a lot of people are very eager to know what will happen after the emergence of Donald Trump as the president of the United States of America, as it has to do with the deportation policy. But then, have we taken into cognizance why we have illegal immigrants? What are the implications? How does it hamper international relations? Is it even proper to be an illegal immigrant? Then all of this put together will form the basis for our discussion today, and I have an expert joining me in the conversation today. As a matter of fact, my guest today is the former Deputy Director in charge of International Cooperation and Multi-Stakeholder Relations at NILDA. He is a public policy and strategy expert. Joining me on the conversation is Dr. Chime Johnkennedy. It's good to have you join us today on the program, sir.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
Well, you've traveled wide and near. I wouldn't want to go into those portfolio because looking at his pedigree, his position, and of course his area of expertise, he has actually traveled to a lot of countries around the world. Now, we're looking at something very important today, something very vital. And what is the topic of discussion today? We're looking at the implication of illegal immigration in international relations. That's the topic of discussion for today. The implication of illegal immigration as it has to do with international relations. And of course, let's begin with this very critical question, because whatever we do right now, the number one thing that a lot of people take into cognizance is economy, the economy of every nation. Now, what is the economic impact to both the host and the origin country as it has to do with illegal immigration?
Okay, thank you, Ramsey. Like you rightly said, the economic implications is actually the foundation, one of the major reasons, drivers of the concern for illegal immigration. Okay, well, first of all, for the host country, when you have illegal migrants, one of the first things it does is lowers the wages. Illegal migrants go for cheap. They look for cheap. They take cheap wages, and it's also a very big strain on the social services. Now, if you remember, in 1954, the first major deportation in the United States by Eisenhower, the 34th president of America, was because of economic implications. Then a lot of Mexicans moved in and then took over all the jobs at very cheap level, which is happening to us now. The Africans are taking the jobs of some of these people in UK, in other places, and of course at cheap level, especially whatever you can get when you relate it to your economy.
I think that was the same thing that happened in South Africa that resulted to the apartheid, right?
Wow. Appetite has been a long, but then the xenophobic problems we had, that was more of, that one is more of, I think it was, yes, the blacks there. The blacks there look for children, but they are not immigrants, they are part of the country. So when we talk about immigrants in South Africa, I think they may think that we are taking over their major areas. But this one, we're talking about people coming in and taking over jobs and asking for lower, that is the first thing for the host country. Then when you are not documented, you are not planned, you are not part of the planning. And then for countries that are purely planned, that is a very big problem. But on the side of the host origin country, we might say the remittances helps back home. But at the same time, in the long term, it disrupts our planning. For example, Nigerians, when all of a lot of skill level are moving out, that also affects the planning for economic development in the origin countries. So both ways, it has a lot of negatives for illegal immigration.
Okay, but I think this is what a lot of Nigerians don't even know, because they feel, well, people are just going, making money, looking for greener pasture, as they call it, the Jackpot syndrome, which has so much affected, especially the health sector in Nigeria, as it were. But now, having a look at that, what is the impact on diplomatic relations and bilateral agreements, and of course the international cooperation that exists between these countries?
You know, if you take yourself back recently, in fact, even the last 10 years, there have been a lot of diplomatic problem between Nigeria and some of these countries. For example, I think in the UAI, even Cameroon, Ghana, and some of these, because of illegal immigrants. Like you mentioned before, the South Africa, there's a big problem there. It's because of, look, you are there, think you are having people that are not documented. So normally countries have bilateral agreements on labor immigration. Okay. They have bilateral agreements on some of these immigration policies. But when the origin countries don't tighten their border, or you have so many people moving, you see what is happening currently. America is pushing people out. There are so many things they are doing and they don't care, because they think that if we are serious, or rather that a lot of things wouldn't have been happening. So it creates a lot of tension between countries, and that could even generate more problems because the multiplier effect of such problems can lead to other rows between two countries, both the host and the origin countries. So and that impacts on international relations a lot.
But is there anything that can be done to stop people from illegal migration? Illegal immigrants, people who move illegally. Is there anything that can be done?
Illegal immigration in two ways. One, when you move into a country against the immigration laws, first of all, you come in without the proper documents. There's the second one, you come in and you overstay and you stay without being documented. These are the two ways. So when, for example, like you said, I visit countries. When I visit and I stay more than 6 months without documenting myself, without proper residential permit, that means I'm an illegal immigrant. And then when I now move in without even having visa, proper visa, is also, so one of the things that, there are so many things to do. From the origin country, one of the things you have to look at, what is even the cause of immigration? The first thing there is about unemployment, is about poverty. You said Japan before. People are moving in because of economic problems, not really because so many people love to stay abroad. No, it's because of the economic problems. The other day, I was talking with somebody, a medical doctor, who said, look, maybe the next time I come to see her, she won't be here, she will be out. You know, that's what it means. It's because, not because they love that, because of what, the economic problem. So, and then another one, we really don't have very strict border policy. I'm in love with what the minister is doing, actually. And you remember recently, people were shouting, why is it the visa on arrival? Why is it cancelled? I think the young man is trying to streamline that. It's the porousness of our border and the people living and coming in. So I don't think other countries do that. If you enter America, before you come in, they already know you are coming in because of technology. And as you queue up for the border control, the cameras are there, they are watching you. So, and a lot of psychology. Somebody said they don't know how they even see things hidden. So of course, it's technology. So these are things that we can do, and especially our land border, not the airport. So if we strengthen it, for the countries, these countries, the origin countries, and both the host countries, especially the host countries where people are migrating. they can do better.
Okay, that's well said. Now, let's look at the function of the immigration officers, because in our own country, there's a lot of compromise, you know. Like you just said something now, get abroad, you will see that, as a matter of fact, you are being scanned as you're entering. They already know. And of course, in Nigeria, it's not like that. And there is a lot of compromises. Then you said something about that it is not even the airport in the first place, but then the borders, the land borders. Then we have this issue of border communities, you know, people who share from other countries, who share boundary with Nigerians. You just talked about the fact that some persons were even illegal immigrants that came to Nigeria were sent back recently. Now, the issue, what do we have to do concerning these land border cases that we've heard in the past and they still are, and especially where we share border with some other countries, the border communities, where you see these people not knowing whether or not they belong to the other country, maybe to Niger, for instance, or they are Nigerians. And when things happen, look at maybe terrorism, for instance, you see these people coming in to perpetrate some form of act that is not in accordance with the law. During elections, you see these people, maybe they vote there, they vote here. Is there anything that can actually be done? Because that could also lead to illegal immigration, which will not be too good for the economy of nations.
It's not just that it can lead. That is our major problem. That is the major source of them. And it's not peculiar to Nigeria, because like I said before, in 1954, there was major deportation of Mexicans. Mexicans are they have this kind of relationship, you know, near in California, very close to California. They have easy access. You know. But then, and some of these South American countries, but America has high technology to detect these things. So our own, we have border, like you mentioned, you have Niger, you have Cameroon, you have some of these countries, and especially up there with our brothers up there north, you don't even know whether the person is the other side or the other side. You know, it's just a matter of proper identification. Because if we do not, if you go to the south, there were times some of our brothers there in Cross River will say, my mother is from Cameroon, my father is Nigeria. So where are you from? Are you in Nigeria, Cameroon? I'm both. You know. So it is just for proper identification, and I think our immigration people are, doing a lot, and that is one of the easiest ways to identify people. It's not easy. You may not really have 100% effective control in immigration, because people will always find a way. The other day I was watching social media, I saw Nigerians running away from America and going into Canada through a small, tiny bridge going into Canada. And right there, they thought they were in a very big, in a cold, winter, almost minus 17 degrees. And suddenly, the border people came up and stopped them and shouted that you don't come closer. And they started asking them questions. So you see that kind of thing. If we have such in Nigeria, high tech, on our borders, that will help a lot. That is what other countries are doing to control illegal immigration.
All right. Thank you very much, Doctor. Let's talk about this a little bit, because NIDCOM, the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, you see them coming up all the time with the issue of a Nigerian that is being maybe harassed abroad, or maybe a Nigerian, some people's lives are even been taken, like the footballer that just passed, things like that happen. So that takes us to the question of human rights challenges as it has to do with this international relations. So what do you think is the reason for this, and of course, how can it be salvaged?
Well, the first thing, let's take it from what is happening now, for example, in the United States. You heard the president call immigrants criminals. On one of the programs, I said, well, I do not believe they're all criminals. But then, because they have offended their international immigration laws, the law can do most of the things. Incidentally, there are bilateral agreements on human rights. But you now see that when these countries, both individuals, both the countries start treating immigrants, they don't bother, they don't care. See, I'm sure you have watched how some of these people are chained, how some of these people are deported. Is that human rights? Well, no, but because maybe they look at them as, oh, I watched a situation where people are being chased and run around, you know, on the streets as if they are, in quotes, not human beings. That's part of the problems. And except, like you mentioned, NITCOM, the woman in NITCOM really did a good thing. He said, look, people should, as the minister of the NITCOM people said, look, I think it's the Minister of State, Bianca, said, when you are deporting our people, please treat them like human beings. That is to say, they already know that there are going to be a lot of infringements on human rights. When you chain people like criminals, of course, that is not, when they have not committed, what they committed is because they are illegal immigrants. So it affects a lot of, that has affected that area so much, and there's nothing much you can do about it because in the first place, you have offended their law.
So the international community cannot do anything about it.
There are protocols on that, but then how do you enforce, how do you start, you know, how do you enforce human rights when they have said, like, you're already here, you know, you're already here on a wrong footing. So we are their mercy. That's the problem. We are their mercy. There was a day I had a little problem at the border, UK border. You know, I was coming from Washington and going into London just to spend the night and come back to Nigeria the following day. I didn't want to spend 10 hours at the airport. And the border person, you know, some of these people are funny. And they started asking me funny questions. And I said, why asking me that question? I said, yes, I bought you a shirt I want to give to somebody. So they started asking me questions. And I was mad because I know myself. So when he was a little, you know, a bit, he said, why, but I said, look, I'm not coming to stay in your country. I'm leaving this place in the next 10 hours. So he asked me for my ticket. I showed him my ticket. He looked at my international passport. I saw many visas. And then he started smiling.
Can you imagine?
You know,
so
saying,
in a situation where someone doesn't have so much visas,
so imagine what he started saying, oh, I can see you travel a lot, blah, blah, blah. That was when I was in NIDA. And then I said, well, why do you have to do that? Okay, you heard what happened to one presidential candidate, in Labour sometime, you know, just because. So some of these things happen, infringement. The best a country can do is to complain.
The best the country can do is to complain about these situations, especially when it has to do with human rights. Human rights have been abused severally by international bodies, countries, presidents, and people from around the world. Now, we want to look at the lessons. We will look at other countries, the world, but then let's take Nigeria for instance now, because all of these is in a bid to foster a relationship that will bring economic and maybe political relevance and benefit at the end of the day. Putting all of this together, what are the lessons for Nigerians? We'll talk about the countries, but then let's talk about Nigeria first because that is key.
Well, the first lesson is that illegal immigration impacts on both the economy and security. When you are doing a relation, you mentioned a lot about intentional, I think these are the two major drivers. So Nigeria should learn to improve their border the technology, especially on land border. Our land border, they are very porous. So many people coming here, and if you go into our bushes now, those people causing problems. Majority of them are not Nigerians. Well, I've heard this so many times. Then the question is, now we know that so many of them are Nigerians, then what are we doing about it? Do we just then, several you have seen people on cars moving to the south, and then where are they coming from? When you ask them the questions, some of them are not even Nigerian. So the first lesson is to tighten our borders and then through international modern technology, like the other countries are doing. The other one is look at the root of immigration. Why are people leaving our country? It's because of poverty. It's because of unemployment. is because of a lot of insecurity. That's why people are leaving. People are declining. When they travel, they went and they go there and go for asylum. Why? Some of them purely on security issues. So if we tackle these problems, developing countries, especially in Nigeria, I think you will reduce that issue of immigration. And the other one is about communication, telling people the impact of these things. It's not easy abroad, though. That is the truth. It's not easy.
But a lot of people don't know.
No,
some persons think they just go there and the economy is good and they feel fine, make money.
Somebody who spent some years abroad discussing with me a day before yesterday, he said in UK, they give you something with the right hand and take it from the left hand.
But a lot of them still stay back there.
You stay back because even if it is the small one, because of foreign exchange, if from what the president is doing, we're able to bring down our foreign exchange to what it was before, I can tell you so many people come back. Yes, because if you're earning about 500,000 or 1 million here, it's nothing when you compare to when you are earning there. But because of foreign exchange, it's because of the value. So if you have 200,000 naira and that 200,000 naira is close to 200, so something worthwhile in dollars, why would you go there and run around? So I think that is one of the key issues. The lesson is to look at our economy, tighten our border, improve our technology, improve communication in terms of Nigerians. A lot of people should know that traveling abroad is good, but then living abroad is something else. It's just this. So there are a lot of lessons that the government can take from what is happening.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, this is an eye-opener because an expert has spoken. And of course, everything he has said is what we should take back home, and not just the people watching right now. The federal government should also make sure they watch this program and take it up. Spread this news. Let the people know there are implications. And it is not just all about traveling abroad. There are so many things to know. This is an expert, someone that has traveled to several countries of the world. He is a former deputy director, and of course, he is in charge of international cooperation and multi-stakeholder relations at NILDA. And of course, he is a public policy and strategy expert. Thank you very much, Dr. Chime Johnkennedy, for coming on the program this morning.
Thank you once again for having me.
All right, thank you this evening, rather. All right, this is the size of diplomatic perspective today. You've learned, we've had so many discussions, and so many more will still be coming on your way in the next edition. Are you planning to jackpot from Nigeria? Have you considered the pros and cons? What is in there for you? How much an expert are you? What are you going to be bringing to the table if you get to that country? The truth is this: are you going to be a legal immigrant or an illegal immigrant? We'll leave it at that. Thank you for being part of Diplomatic Perspective. Today will come on your way again. That's going to be the next edition. My name is Ramsey Enoch. Thanks for joining us and have a beautiful day. Bye-bye for now.